I am going to give you the ultimate tier list of every single suburb here in the Boise, Idaho area. That way you can know, what is it actually like to live there, and why the heck would I choose this city over this one? I'm gonna break them down, show you the cream of the crop. I'm gonna actually rank them in the tier so that you have a little bit better. I'm not just gonna give everything a B and call it a day, but I'm gonna do my best to be completely honest with you and just tell you my personal opinion of what each of these suburbs offer and where I would put them in a ranking. Let's talk about it. I'm Chase Dolan, your Boise realtor, and if you're looking at this and you're trying to figure out where the best place is for you to live, whether you're thinking about making a move tomorrow or next year, I would absolutely love to help. All of my info is down in the description below, so go ahead and reach out. My team and I would love to find a way to help you answer just one more question. And if as you're watching this, you learn something, you get some value, or you just enjoy it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you are the first to know everything that you need to know about living up here in the Boise, Idaho area. But let's hop into the tier list, and I do want to start with a little bit of a preface disclaimer. I love living here in the Boise, Idaho area. I've got clients that live all over the Treasure Valley, so I've truly seen that each of these cities can be perfect for certain families. So I'm a little bit nitpicking when I'm looking at Boise, Caldwell, Middleton, and everything in between. So if I rank something nice and low, that just means that it's not the best fit for me and my family, but it might be the A++ for you and your family. And again, I'm gonna break them down into these tiers, but I'm actually gonna give you a ranking inside of the tiers as well, so that you can actually walk away from this with, this is what Chase said are the rankings of the suburbs in his opinion. And hopefully that gives you some context as to where would your rankings line up. And as we're going, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below about what your ranking is for each of these cities, because I want people to know that there are different strokes for different folks. I think that's the term, that's just what came out of my mouth. But I want you to share that so that people know that there are going to be places that people like. I'm also going to rank somewhere top that you might look at and be like, that is an F in my book, get that out of here. And of course, let's start with the one that probably drew you here in the first place, Boise, Idaho. So Boise is the capital city of Idaho, and it's kind of the center of the Treasure Valley. It's our urban city center. It's got the most restaurants. It's got the condos. It's growing so quickly. It's kind of the main attraction. And because of this, being that city center, it is going to have the most things to do, new things to try, different restaurants, bars, coffee shops, stores, everything along those lines. Boise is going to have the most things to do. It's going to be just about a 30 to 40 minute drive up to Bogus Basin. You're going to have the foothills that are actually in Boise themselves. The Boise River runs directly through downtown, so you're going to have a big portion of the Greenbelt. And then being on the northern edge of town, if you want to get up Highway 55 to go to McCall, Cascade, the Boise National Forest, you are just a few minutes closer than all of the other cities around. And then if you want to shoot out the other side of town in southeast Boise and you want to go up to Ketchum, you want to go up to Sun Valley, Idaho City, you are just an hour to 2 hours away there. And that kind of encapsulates Boise when I'm really looking at it in a general sense, is that it is our hub. It is where the most things are. So the proximity to different activities, the restaurants, everything that you can try, the events, the festivals, if those are the things that you want to make sure are in your backyard so that you have something to do every single weekend, Boise's going to be perfect for you. But some of the cons on the other side is this is where the majority of our population is. There are around 240,000 people in Boise itself, and in our entire Treasure Valley, we only have around 810,000 people. So that means that about 30% of the whole population in the entire Treasure Valley lives in this one city. So you're gonna have more traffic, you're gonna have longer commute times, it's gonna feel a little bit quicker and busy. It's not gonna be that small town, relaxed type of life. But as I've said in other videos, when we're looking at this, it's still a really small city compared to other cities. So don't just automatically compare it to your capital city. But when we're looking here in the Treasure Valley, this is where I would probably put Boise as a firm B. It's kind of in that second tier. It has a lot to offer, but if you don't want to be walking to all of these activities, it's really easy to live in some of these other suburbs and get a lot of those amenities, but not have to deal with some of the downfalls of Boise. Up next, we're going to talk about a city that is actually kind of enveloped by Boise, but it has its own distinct little area, and we're going to talk about Garden City. So Garden City is a small part of town that's down by the Boise River and Chinden. It's in a really hip kind of growing part of town. A few years ago, Garden City really put some work behind its live, work, and create kind of district. So they did this so that young professionals, artists, things like that, they would have an area where they can actually live, they can create, they can work, all of those terms that I just laid out for you. But they really focused on the quality of life and the lifestyle component there for that niche crowd. So if you are a part of that crowd and that's what you're looking for, I want to be completely honest. The ranking that I'm about to give it, you should bump it right up because it is perfect for those type of people. But a couple of the downsides are the prices in Garden City are extremely high. It is one of the highest median prices right behind Eagle, Idaho. Garden City's median price is going to be in the 700,000s, which is crazy for what you get, but it's all location driven. You're going to have close proximity to the Greenbelt. You're going to have close proximity to the river. There's a huge focus on low maintenance living there as well. So there's going to be a lot more condos than single family buildings. But again, the proximity to the river, the Greenbelt, breweries and wineries, if you want to go out and try something new, you should take a drive into Garden City. Barbarian Brewing, Proletariat Wine, there are just a couple that you should go and check out. It's a really cool part of town. But as far as choosing that as the place that you're going to live, I give it a C in my book, just because if you really want that proximity and you are looking for that type of life, you don't care about having a yard, you're fine with walking your dog on the Greenbelt every day when it needs to go to the bathroom, that is completely what Garden City has to offer. But it's just not for me. I like a little bit more classic suburban. I want my yard, I want my fence, and I want my privacy. And that'll lead us into the next suburb. And we're kind of just going, if you haven't noticed, from Boise out. We're going to wrap up with Caldwell at the end. But the next one is going to be the biggest suburb that we have here in the area. We're going to talk about Meridian. So Meridian is definitely suburban living. It is master planned communities. It is neighborhoods after neighborhoods, cul-de-sacs. It's not going to have as many condos. It's not going to be that downtown kind of north end living. It is true suburban family living, but with the way that it has grown and Boise has grown, it definitely just feels like an extension of Boise in certain respects. It has a ton of the same amenities, just on a little bit of a lower scale. You're not gonna have quite as many local restaurants, new cuisines to try, but you're gonna have a ton of places to go and try in Meridian itself. They actually have a downtown Meridian that is growing really, really quickly. There's a couple of really cool places downtown Meridian. They're starting to put more and more buildings and businesses there. Downtown Meridian is going to look very different in about the next 5 to 7 years, which is going to be cool because if you live in Meridian, you can go there for brunch on the weekends instead of going into Boise. Meridian has also plenty of entertainment options for you and your family. They put a focus on that family-friendly activity. This is how it's always been, and as it's continued to grow, they've really, again, focused on that portion of it. You're gonna have Wahoo's and Roaring Springs, kind of the family fun center and the water park. You're gonna have the Meridian Speedway in downtown Meridian that they're gonna have races every single Saturday. It is a cool experience in the summer. Go, enjoy. If you're looking for a little bit more of the small town type of activity, Linder Farms in South Meridian, kind of right before you get into Kuna, is one of the best harvest festivals, pumpkin patches, corn mazes that happens every single fall. And then of course, just a couple years ago, we got our Top Golf, and that is right on the border of Meridian and Boise. So that's a really cool place to go and check out. And then if you've listened to anything about Meridian on my channel or other channels, you know the Village at Meridian is a big outdoor shopping district. There's some of our best restaurants. There's a movie theater, all of the different shopping areas. That's where our new In-N-Out is. The Village and such is a really kind of hub of commercial chain restaurants, everything that you're gonna need. Trader Joe's is right up the road. There's a Walmart. It's going to be an Albertsons. The Village at Meridian is somewhere you're going to end up being regardless of where you choose to live. Now, with all of this and all of these amenities and all this entertainment, Meridian is not going to be the slowest pace of life in the entire Treasure Valley. But when we're comparing it to Boise, because I think they're the ones that are the most similar, Meridian is a much slower pace of life than living in downtown Boise. You are going to have Eagle Road, which is one of the busiest roads in our entire Treasure Valley. But once you get deeper into Meridian, it is again just a lot of neighborhoods. There's not as much traffic. It is a great place to live. And when you couple this with the affordability here is going to be quite a bit less than Eagle. It's going to be a little bit less than Boise. It offers you the same kind of amenities of being in this part of town, but a little bit more affordable price point. And that's a big reason why I put it pretty high up on my list, right in A. And that's because At the end of the day, whether you choose to live in Meridian or not, with where it's located in the Treasure Valley, it is kind of the nexus of our entire Treasure Valley. You're gonna end up driving through it. You're gonna go there for certain things. When you live out in Nampa, I guarantee you're gonna end up in Meridian for dinner every once in a while. So Meridian just has a lot to offer, and it's growing, and it's such a big place that it just, I don't know, I might be biased, but I absolutely love it. And one more note before I forget and move on to the next one. Meridian has some of the best school districts in our entire area. West Ada School District runs through. There are some really high-ranked schools. Check out greatschools.com. You can check out niche.com. There's some different rankings. Do your own research, but that is something that Meridian is definitely known for, is they've got some of the best school districts here. So if that matters to you, if you have kids coming or you just want to make sure that you have that for your resale in the future, that's a big reason why it gets pushed up as well. But let's head north just a little bit and let's talk about where I'm currently living, Eagle, Idaho. So a few of the things that I absolutely love about Eagle are the downtown is very much still a small town, slow moving kind of downtown. There's no hustle and bustle with it. There is a lot of construction going on. They're starting to add more and more. There's going to be this really cool new kind of city center that's getting put together. More to come on that. Hopefully it's ready sometime by the end of this year into next. We got our first big brewery there, Gem State Brewing. We're starting to get more and more types of restaurants. There's a new one called Coa Del Mar that's going to be popping up on the lake, kind of right into downtown Eagle. So overall, the downtown here just has a lot of stuff going on. It's growing in a really good way, and it's one of my favorite to be at and actually go out and enjoy. You also know that I am really into the outdoor activities and getting out to do things. So Eagle Island State Park is located right in Eagle next to the Boise River. This is going to be, again, a state park that has everything from trails for you to go on. You can bring your horse, go horseback riding. There's a big park. There's a water slide. In the winter, they actually adapt a big portion of it to be this massive tubing hill. It's just a really cool place that you can go to and have kind of a day getaway without driving more than 5 minutes away from wherever you're living. And then living in Eagle, you are already really close to the foothills on the north side of town. The Boise River runs directly through downtown Eagle, so you're gonna have the Greenbelt. Overall, there's just a lot of cool outdoor activities in Eagle, which is a big plus for us. And if you watch my channel at all, and I've kind of talked about why we chose Eagle, a big reason for this is we're at the point where we're starting to build our family. And so schools and everything along those lines were a big, big thing for us. In Eagle, pretty consistently, they always seem to have some of the top rated schools according to, again, those sites, so do your own research. But overall, that's just always been a pro that we've heard of before we even thought about this, and as we did our research, it's one of the top-notch places to send your kids to school. Now, with all of that being said, there is one big con with Eagle, Idaho, and it is the home prices. This is the most expensive part of our town. With the median home price being just around $800,000, it costs a pretty penny to live in Eagle, Idaho. You're not going to get as much stretch for your buck here compared to Meridian, compared to Nampa, really anywhere else. But for the people that live here, the lifestyle and the things that are offered outweigh that, and that's why it does cost just a little bit more. But if you're looking for that budget-friendly option, Eagle's not going to be the one. And because of all of this, even though we have chosen to leave Meridian about a year ago, and we actually chose to move to Eagle, I would put Eagle right in that kind of A to B tier, so right after Meridian, purely just because you can have a very similar quality of life in North Meridian, but pay $150,000, $200,000 less for your home. So it's kind of a trade-off of, okay, how much of it is worth it? Where do you want to be? All of those things. But in the B tier, I would definitely put it as the top. So it'll kind of go right in the center there. Now let's go all the way south. Let's hop over Meridian and let's talk about small town in Ada County, Kuna, Idaho. So Kuna is 100% still a very small town located here. It'll give you a little bit more of that true traditional Idaho small town feel. There's a lot of farmland going on. Their downtown feels like that small town. They've got their water tower. Kuna itself doesn't have a lot going on, but the stuff that it does have and the people that live there, they absolutely love it. And one of my favorite parts is when you're driving around in Kuna, because there hasn't been a ton of development and just the way the landscape is, you can get some of the best views and landscapes of kind of the green farmland leading into the horizon of the Owyhee Mountains. It is absolutely breathtaking. It's one of my favorite places to drive out to. And the fact that you can get this small town living, it's a little bit more affordable than Meridian. You're probably going to save about 10% on a home. Kuna itself is still in Ada County though. So a lot of times when we look at the rural outskirts, we're looking at the small towns, we want you to get as much as we can for your budget. You tend to end up in Canyon County because that's just where the growth is going. But a lot of times we just forget about Kuna sitting there to the south of Meridian, and this is a really cool opportunity for you to get quite a bit more bang for your buck, but still have that close proximity to Boise, to Meridian, be in Ada County, which helps you with your taxes. It's just one of the things that really does make it appealing for people. And then even though the activities and the places to eat and everything, they're going to be fewer than in some of these other towns, there are a few things that really do give you stuff to do here in Kuna. You're going to have Indian Creek that actually runs through downtown Kuna, and there's places to go swimming. It's a cool little spot. Every single year they do their Kuna Days Festival, which is a great kind of small town. There's a parade, there's different events. And then something I don't think many people know about, even that live here, is just outside of Kuna, you've actually got the Snake River Birds of Prey national kind of protected area. So they have a big festival every single year. I believe we're one of the top places for these birds, the raptors that actually live there. It's a cool thing that if you're into animals, you want to go out and experience something, go ahead and check it out. Kuna just has some really unique aspects to it, and it still has that close proximity. Now, I'm not one that I like living in the small towns. I like to have more stuff near me. So for that reason, I would put Kuna just below kind of Meridian in the B tier. It's still a really good place to live, and there's a lot of pros. It's just a little bit more out from kind of all of the stuff that I want. I like to have different amenities. And when we're talking about these small towns, let's jump back over to Star, Idaho. So for the longest time, Star was seen as the kind of cheaper alternative to Eagle, which is right to the east of it. Over the last few years though, the gap of affordability and the home prices between Star and Eagle has shrunk. You can still get a better home at a better budget in Star than you can in Eagle, but that gap that used to be $300,000-$400,000 is now $100,000. So it still makes sense, but now that we're seeing those gaps kind of go, the lifestyle in Eagle and the lifestyle in Star have begun to be compared a little bit more because it's not such a slam dunk decision. Star as a whole though is a small town. It has a small population that is growing as people really do like its proximity to Eagle, to Meridian, but it's still a small town with basically one big intersection. Over the last few years, this has been a hot spot for new construction and new developments, and something that I don't always love about Star, and it kind of depends on what you're looking for, is a big reason for the traffic issues that they have there, the infrastructure problems, as well as those home prices going up pretty drastically, pretty quickly, is that Star, the residents, the local government, they've been very resistant to development, which has made new housing projects really tough to get off the ground. And those housing developments, those new subdivisions, a lot of times they're the ones who are going to pay for that better water treatment plant. They're going to pay for the roads to get widened. There's a lot of things that they can have as a part of that development plan to put some of that cost on the developers. And when that isn't happening, nobody else is going to pay for it because those are expensive projects. So as we're kind of looking, and I am not the government expert, so this is just kind of what I've witnessed over the last few years, we're starting to see that getting through downtown Star, which used to be such a headache, it would take you forever. It was a one-lane road, plenty of traffic. I digress. They've started to widen that road into a 2-lane road, which is going to make a big difference. The Highway 16 extension coming, and it'll actually end kind of right between Star and Eagle on Highway 16. That'll help some of the traffic bleed out and go back towards the highway instead of only being on State Street. And with this growth, we're also starting to see new restaurants. We're seeing new things come to Star, which is kind of giving it a new energy. But if you're looking for that slower pace of life, you like that smaller town feel, Star has a lot of qualities that really do draw people to it. But since I'm here to rank them, I got to put them above or below something. I would probably put Star, in my opinion, right around where Kuna is, potentially right below it in that B to C tier, just because it has a lot of the similarities, it has a lot of the same drawbacks or issues in my eyes, but it costs a heck of a lot more. And when we're talking about a lot of the things though that make Star a great place to live, I want to introduce you to Middleton, just a little bit more down the road from Star. Middleton is traditional small town Idaho. This is the town that if you really want that rural feel, this is the place that you need to look. In Middleton, you're going to find larger lots. If you want that 1/4 of an acre, 1/3 of an acre, but you have a little bit lower of a budget, this is the place to look. The lots out here are bigger, and the pace of life in Middleton is one of the best in the entire Treasure Valley. The downtown itself, the town of Middleton, does not have a lot going on. You got a couple of different restaurant options, you got some parks in downtown, but for the most part, if you want a ton of amenities, you want a ton of things to go out and do, this isn't gonna be your fit. But if that's not what you care about, this could be a really good one. Like I said, it is gonna be quite a bit more affordable than Star, where you can probably get a very similar home for about 15 to 20% less, depending on the builder. This is a big spot that I have a lot of clients looking in that are looking for new construction. They're looking for a high quality build, but they don't want to spend $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. There are some cool opportunities in Middleton. And when I talk to people who live out there, and in my eyes, one of the big things that draws people to Middleton is all of our towns are growing very, very quickly. That's just the way that it is right now. But Middleton itself, with where it's located, how far from kind of the big development it is currently, and the way there's really only 2 roads in and out of Middleton, this town is going to grow, but this isn't one that I see exploding over the next 5 to 10 years. I think it's still going to be a small town, and it's probably going to be around a Star to Eagle once it gets fully grown. Again, just a reminder, this is a microphone in front of me. It is not a crystal ball. I cannot see the future, but that is kind of what I would forecast as the person making the forecast and making this video. Now, a lot of times Middleton scares people off because it is a little bit further out of town. It's a rural small town. So what happens if you want to live there, but you want to know that you have access to all the fun things that you want to go out and do? You still are only about 30 to 40 minutes from downtown Boise. With where Middleton's located and the way our highway kind of starts to shoot up a little bit more north as you get closer to Oregon, you're really close to I-84, so you can kind of shoot down. It is still a little bit separated, but 40 minutes if you're going to go down once every few months, totally worth it. If you're looking for something a little bit closer, Middleton itself is only going to be about 10 to 15 minutes from downtown Caldwell and Indian Creek Plaza. You're going to have Karcher Road. There are a lot of things that are within that 10 to 15 minute range. So you might not have everything right outside your backyard, but you're also not going to be completely separated and off on your own in the middle of the boonies. Now, as far as the ranking goes, in my opinion, I would put Middleton in that B tier right before Kuna. I think it has a lot of the similar aspects, but it's a really cool part of town. I love the location up there. I love being on the north side of town. And the fact that you can still get a pretty good bang for your buck and some larger lots and such, I'm starting to nitpick big time, but I would probably look at Middleton before I looked at Kuna for my family, but they're very, very similar. Now let's hop back out of the rural real quick and let's go down to Nampa, Idaho. So Nampa, a lot of times we compare it with Meridian, but Nampa is going to feel like a much more of a standalone city than Meridian, which is kind of just feels like an extension of Boise. Nampa feels much more self-contained. It is the 3rd largest city in the Treasure Valley with around 100,000 people, 120,000 in Meridian, 240,000 in Boise, but it still has a lot of that small town kind of agricultural town feel. The community there and kind of the economic focus and the commercial focus is still very much centered around the agriculture and kind of the industrial side of things. So the amalgamated sugar company is there, the sugar beet factory. You're gonna have a couple of the bigger industrial parks. You're still gonna have some agricultural zones going on. Nampa itself still has that small town feel, but it's just grown so much that there's a lot of space that it has, but it does feel more like the city now. In my opinion, Nampa over the last few years has really stepped up its game with its downtown. It's one of my favorite downtowns now. You're gonna have Holy Cow down there. You're gonna have a Paddles Up Poke. You're gonna have a few cool restaurants, coffee shops. There's a lot of cool things to love about Nampa. And when we're looking at the things to do out there, outdoor activities wise, you're gonna have Lake Lowell right to the south of Nampa. You're gonna have the Wilson Ponds located in the heart of Nampa. There are a lot of really cool things for you to go out and do. But one of its best things is that it's home to Ford Idaho Center, which has some of our top concerts every single year. They have an indoor component. This is where actually the Snake River Stampede kind of rodeo is. And then they have an outdoor component, which is more of an amphitheater with a lawn. There's a big standing area. We've got concerts there all throughout the year, and it's a good venue. And then at the end of the day, a big thing that draws people to Nampa is the affordability. This is the one where you're gonna feel quite a bit better about where your budget can go compared to Meridian, even Kuna, Middleton. Nampa is going to stretch your budget just a little bit further, and it has a good balance of course, having 100,000 people. It has a lot of resale opportunities, older homes, different styles, but it still has a ton of land and development space to grow. So there's a lot of new construction out there as well. So with all of this being said, I would probably rank Nampa right between Middleton and Kuna in my eyes. It has a bigger part of town. It sometimes can feel a little bit run down. There's certain parts of Nampa that will feel a little bit grungy, a little bit grimy. They're just older commercial areas. There's still some development and some revitalization that needs to happen. But at the end of the day, Nampa offers a lot of things. And if you want that city, you don't want just an extension of Boise, you want to be a little bit further out. Maybe you like Canyon County more than you like Ada County, but you want to get the most bang for your buck, it's going to be a big place for you to look. And finally, we're going to wrap up with Caldwell, Idaho. So Caldwell is just going to be right up the highway from Nampa. You're going to be about 10 minutes between Caldwell and Nampa, so you're really not that much further out. But Caldwell is going to feel more like a rural community. It is a college town. College of Idaho is located right in downtown Caldwell. But when you get out to kind of the surrounding portions of Caldwell, this is where you're going to find a lot of bigger ranch kind of setups, not really ranches, more like 2, 3, 4 acre properties with a few horses. You're going to have some farmland, you're going to have some agricultural going on. But this is also home to where Simplot is headquartered. So out there, one of our biggest employers here in the area. One of the biggest pros, in my opinion, of Caldwell is its downtown. Again, Indian Creek Plaza, absolutely a place that you should go and check out because it just is always a surprise and people love it down there. They've got some of the best restaurants. You're gonna have Amano, the Mexican restaurant there that I believe just won the James Beard Award. It's kind of nationally ranked as one of the best restaurants in America. You're gonna have Grit 2C, which my wife and I, it's one of our personal favorites. The poutine there is awesome. Indian Creek Steakhouse has been a staple for people for years, and they just continue to add more and more options. This is also where you're gonna have the Winter Wonderland and the big light show during the Christmas time. And then Caldwell is also gonna be home to Caldwell Night Rodeo, which is a very unique kind of rodeo that happens every single year. They have a big arena, so there's gonna be events going on throughout the year, but the Caldwell Night Rodeo, we go to rodeos all the time. We live in Idaho, but this is one that definitely stands out. And finally, something that we always forget is that wine country, the Sunny Slope Wine Trail, is just outside of Caldwell. So if you're into wine, you want to go out and have a totally different experience during the summer, you can go out. St. Chappelle will do different summer concert series, grab some appetizers, go out and taste some wines. The Sunny Slope Wine Trail is in Caldwell, and it's a place that, again, we forget that we've got wine country just outside of our Treasure Valley. Now, with all of this being said, Caldwell is a place that doesn't always have the best reputation. For years, it was kind of thought of as like, that's not the place of town that we want to go. There are still some places in Caldwell that, I'll be completely honest, I wouldn't want to live. There are places that are much more run down. They just feel like the town that you wouldn't want to live in. But outside of those areas, because they are not the entirety of the city, there are some really good places in Caldwell, especially when we're looking a little bit more to the east of Caldwell as it gets closer to Nampa and Karcher Road. There's some great new construction developments. Caldwell has a lot of good things to offer, but it definitely is one that you want to drive through and you want to make sure you know what neighborhood you're buying in, because some will feel awesome, some won't feel as great. And because of this, when I need to rank them and such, again, I'm nitpicking here, I would put Caldwell kind of right in that C tier, probably before Garden City, just because it is so much more affordable. Caldwell is the place, if you need your budget to stretch, we're going to be looking out there. Again, those newer developments are a very different part of Caldwell that I absolutely love. But overall, those are my rankings of the Boise, Idaho suburbs. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this valuable. If you learned something, drop a like, drop a subscribe down below. That way I know that this is something that was actually helpful. At the end of the day, I don't want to waste your time watching these videos, and I want to make sure that you're getting what you need to get out of these, so that would be extremely helpful. And if you have any specific questions about any of these towns, and you want to know a little bit more about any of them and how they might work for you, all of my information is down in the description below. My team and I would absolutely love to help. And again, I just want to put it out there, even though Caldwell, Garden City are down at the bottom of my list, Eagle and Meridian are up top, I have got so many people that chose Caldwell over Meridian, over Eagle. So this is not a one size fits all. This is just my attempt to try and give you some sort of consensus actual ranking comparing all of them. So take from it what you will. If you disagreed with anything, drop me a comment down below, and then go ahead and watch one of these videos that's popping up next, and I'll see you all on the next one.